They were born 2 years apart, but everyone said they were like twins. Emmanuel and Jonah, the sons of Pastor Enoch, the man everyone in the village called God's mouthpiece. From childhood, they shared everything: food, clothes, dreams. When Emmanuel fell sick, Jonah stayed by his bed for days, feeding him spoon by spoon. When Jonah failed his first exam, Emmanuel skipped his own victory celebration just to sit beside him under the mango tree and say, "Next time, you'll do better. You always do." They were brothers in every way that mattered. Or at least, that's how it seemed. As they grew older, life started choosing between them, quietly, unfairly. Emmanuel was the favored one. The one whose prayers seemed to move mountains. The one who played guitar in church and made the whole congregation cry when he sang. The one their father often called, "my anointed son." Jonah didn't hate him. Not at first. He was proud. Or tried to be. But pride turns bitter when it's not fed. He saw the way the girls looked at Emmanuel, how the elders whispered, "He will take after his father." Even their mother once said, smiling, "God just poured a little extra grace on your brother." She didn't mean harm, but the words cut deeper than she knew. By the time they were both in their 20s, Emmanuel had started leading worship at their father's church, a large congregation now, packed every Sunday. Jonah worked the sound system. He watched from behind the console as Emmanuel spoke softly into the microphone, his voice calm, magnetic, divine. The crowd swayed to his words. People cried. And Jonah stood there, adjusting the knobs, unseen, unheard. One Sunday, after service, an old prophet from another town approached Pastor Enoch. "I saw a vision," he said. "One of your sons will carry a mantle that will shake nations. But the other." He paused. "The other must learn peace, or envy will consume him." No one understood. But Jonah's heart skipped a beat. He didn't say a word, but something in him shifted that day. Months passed. Emmanuel grew in grace. He started receiving invitations to preach in other churches. He even began recording gospel songs. One of them went viral online. Meanwhile, Jonah stayed behind, fixing cables and setting microphones. Always behind. Always in the shadows. Until one evening, after a powerful crusade, Jonah heard his father say to Emmanuel, "My son, the fire of God is upon you. The nations will hear your name." Jonah smiled faintly from across the room, but his stomach burned. He left early that night, his heart heavy with a question that had been growing like a weed. If God truly loves us the same, why does he bless one and forget the other? That was the night he went looking for Elder Aboa, the herbalist everyone whispered about but pretended not to know. The one who mixed prayer with powder. He found him in a dimly lit hut behind the old cemetery. The smell of burning incense and something metallic filled the air. Jonah hesitated at the door, but the old man's voice came from within. "So, the pastor's son finally came." Jonah froze. "I just want balance," he said. The old man chuckled softly. "Balance is what jealous men call revenge." "I'm not jealous," Jonah whispered. "I'm tired of being invisible." The man's eyes gleamed. "Then make him invisible instead." He handed Jonah a small clay pot sealed with palm leaves and dark oil. "Bury this where he preaches. Say nothing. It will not kill him, but his voice will burn. His gift will dry up." Jonah's hands trembled. "Will God forgive me?" "God doesn't come here," the man replied simply. That night, Jonah went to the church while everyone slept. The moon was pale and hollow. He dug a small hole right under the altar, where his brother always stood. He placed the clay pot there, whispered the words he had been told, and covered it with sand. When he walked out, his chest felt lighter. He thought he had found peace. But peace built on envy never lasts. 2 weeks later, during Sunday service, Emmanuel suddenly stopped singing mid-song. His voice cracked. He coughed, tried again, but nothing came out. The congregation murmured. Pastor Enoch rushed to the stage, confused. Emmanuel touched his throat, eyes wide in fear. I can't speak." Panic spread. From that day, Emmanuel's voice never returned. Doctors said his vocal cords were fine. Spiritually, people said he had been silenced. He stopped leading worship. He withdrew from church. His songs stopped coming. His light dimmed. And in that silence, Jonah rose. He took over the worship team. His own voice, once shaky, grew stronger. People began to notice him, finally. He told himself it was just destiny shifting. Maybe God had finally looked his way. But at night, he heard something whisper in his ear. You didn't rise. You traded. Months later, Emmanuel's health began to fail. He coughed often, slept more, ate less. One night, their mother found him burning with fever. They prayed. They fasted. But nothing changed. Pastor Enoch wept by his bedside, whispering, Lord, if this is a test, have mercy. Jonah stood by the door, guilt gnawing at him like acid. He wanted to confess. But every time he opened his mouth, fear sealed it shut. Until one night, Emmanuel called him weakly. Jonah. Yes, brother. Emmanuel smiled faintly. Do you know what hurts most? Jonah's throat tightened. What? That my silence made you louder, but your heart didn't rejoice. Tears filled Jonah's eyes. What are you saying? I've always known, Emmanuel whispered. Since that night. The night the ground spoke under my feet. Jonah froze. You knew. Emmanuel nodded slowly. But I forgave you before it began. Because envy is a fire that burns the vessel before the target. He closed his eyes and never opened them again. The next morning, the altar caught fire. No one knew how. The flames consumed only one spot. The center, where Jonah had buried the clay pot. When the fire was put out, only ashes remained. Black, greasy, and still warm. That Sunday, Jonah stood before the congregation, voice shaking. He confessed everything. Every lie, every visit, every jealousy. Some people screamed. Some wept. Pastor Enoch fell to his knees, sobbing. Jonah left the town that evening. No one saw him again for years. They said he became a wanderer, preaching repentance in small villages, living off bread and rainwater. When he died, an old shepherd who found him said Jonah's last words were, Fire teaches what love forgets. Moral of the story. Envy disguises itself as ambition, but its true hunger is destruction. Jonah didn't just silence his brother, he silenced his own peace. In trying to steal another's grace, he lost the favor that was waiting for him. What is meant for you doesn't need manipulation, it needs patience. When you dig a pit for your brother, you're only preparing your own grave. And sometimes, forgiveness is the fire that burns away evil, not to destroy, but to cleanse.